Now we're going to learn how to add validation styles to form controls in Bootstrap. Validation styles, they're used to style some specific states like a success state or a warning state, and we can use them to style inputs like text inputs. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to create a simple text inputs following this one. Let's have a line break. Okay, horizontal line, and what we're gonna do, just gonna create a text input. Okay, so the type is gonna be text, and let's give it a class form control, and okay, let's also give it an ID, text input 1. So we're going to be creating other ones, and also a placeholder, text input 1. Okay, so let's create another one. Okay, before we do that, let's have a label for text input 1. Okay, text input 1. Okay, and let's do the same thing. Add another couple of text inputs. So text input 2 and then text input 3. Okay. Okay. So now let's add a validation styling to the first text input. So first thing, we will need to place the inputs inside another div, and then we're gonna give that div a specific class. Okay, so let's copy the input and place it inside a div, and then this div is going to have a special class. So first of all, let's add the form group class. Okay, let's place both the label. Okay, let's use first the form group class as we have done earlier. Put the label and the inputs inside the form group. Okay, and then let's use the validation style class. So let's say we want to go for a success state for this input. So the class we're going to use is going to be has success. Okay, and we can see how this is styled using the green color for the border of the input. Okay, we can do the same thing for the second input. So let's place the label and the inputs inside a form group. First, and then let's have a warning state for this one, or an error state. So it's going to be has error. Okay, so you can see how this is styled. Okay, and then the final one, let's do the same thing. Let's place the label and the inputs inside a form group and add a class for a warning state, it's going to be has warning. Okay. All right. Okay, just a quick comment regarding labels. It is a good practice to provide a label for every single input in our form, mainly for accessibility reasons and to help with assistive technologies. But if we don't want our labels to appear on the page, there is a class we can use with labels. It's SR only. So let's add this class to the first inputs label, SR only. And now you can see that's the label does not appear. Okay. So let's do the same thing for the other labels. Okay. And also let's see how to style labels using the style these inputs using the grid system. So we're gonna place all the divs, okay, inside a row, okay, or a div of class row. So let's select all of them. Okay. And copy paste them inside another div of class row. And then each div, we're going to add a class to each of these divs, showing the number of columns we'd like them to occupy. So let's go for extra small devices. So we're going to use the class column XS. So let's say the first input is going to take 2 columns for the width. Okay. The second one is going to be, let's go for 6 columns. And the third one, let's go for 4 columns. Okay. Okay, there are other classes we can use to size the input itself. So let's say we want to make this input small. So the class we can use for that is input small, okay, or SM, and you can see how the size changed for that. We can use another class, input large. Okay, you can see how this one changed, and also okay, there are other classes we can use. So for instance, we can use the class, let's go for the first input and add the class column large. Okay, we don't see any impact now because we are already in the grid system anyway. Okay. Okay, now we're going to move to something else. We're going to learn how to add an icon to a text input. So let's just create another simple text input. Okay, let's just copy paste one of these. Okay, let's have a line break and then a horizontal line. Okay. Okay, we keep only the form group, and this is gonna be text input 4. Keep this class to not show the label, and also this is text inputs, and okay. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna add an icon to the right of the text inputs. Okay, over here. So what we need to do, we're gonna need to add a span element following the input, and inside the span elements we can have our icon. We're gonna use a glyph icon for that. So first let's create our span. Okay, and we're gonna give the span a class. Okay, so it's gonna be glyph icon followed by the name of the icon. So in order to get that, we're gonna go to the Bootstrap website, and then we're gonna go to the components. Okay, and we can see here the glyph icons. So let's go for an alerts glyph icon. We could do a Control F and search for alerts. You can see this glyph icon, so let's use this one. Just copy paste this. Okay. And we need to add another class. It's going to be form control feedback. And we need to add a class to our div. It's going to be has feedback. Okay, and now we can see our icon there. Okay, we can also add a warning state to the inputs just by using the has warning class, and now you can see the color of the icon has changed. Okay. Okay, also we would need to add another span with text. So this text is not going to appear, so it's going to be warning. We're going to do this mainly for assistive technologies like screen readers. Okay, it's going to make it easy to convey the meaning of our icon for those technologies, but we need to use the class SR only, so that this text doesn't show up. Okay, so now we've got our text input with the alert icon. Okay, so let's go for another example, and this time we're going to create a text input, but we're going to add we're going to have an add-on with some text in it. Okay, and also we can have some kind of form control feedback. We can have like a success label, for example. Okay, a success icon, for instance. So let's go for that. So we can copy paste this for now. Okay, let's have a line break. Okay, let's have a horizontal line. Okay, so this time, okay, so rather than has warning, let's go for has success. Okay, and rather than using an alert icon, we're going to use an OK icon. Yeah. Okay, so now, as we said, we want to add another add-on. So let's say at the beginning, we want to have some text, for example, at. So what we're going to do, so inside our inputs, or just before the inputs, we're going to add a span element, okay, with text in it, and we're going to give this span a class, okay. But before we do that, if we have an add-on like this one to the inputs, it's not going to work with a form group. So we need to change the class we're using here to an inputs group rather than a form group. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll change this to input group. Okay, and then our span is going to have a class of inputs group add-on, and now it's going to work. Okay, it's not going to work with the form group, but it will work with an inputs group, and we need to give the additional span an inputs group add-on class. Okay, and now it is working. We can see how it works. All right. Okay, now we're going to go for one final example where we add a button attached to the inputs. So we can still copy paste this text inputs. Okay, let's have a line break again. And a horizontal line. Okay, so now rather than having some text there, so we'd like to have a button. Okay, so instead of having this span, we're gonna create a button, but we need to place the button inside a span. Okay, so let's go for a span, and then inside the span we're gonna have a button. Okay, so first, this span is gonna have a new class. It's gonna be inputs group button. Okay, you can see the button is gonna go there, and the button, okay, we can just place, okay, let's have some text in for the button, submit, and also let's give it a type of button, and also a class button, and button defaults, for example. Okay. In the next video, we're going to cover buttons in detail.